What happens at laser tag never stays at laser tag.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
I feel like you could be like in Ghostbusters or something.
Oh my God, you have got some stories.
Let's talk about laser tag.
Who knew you were a laser tag legend?
Time to get laser unfocused. Tag Talk with Tivia.
Welcome to Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Hi, I'm Tivia. Photon Warriors never die. They just phaser away. Today, Todd Mulloy shares how he found his first love of laser tag in the ultimate game on planet Earth. Today, I'd like to welcome Todd Mulloy, aka Nitro, an old school Photon Warrior, to join me for some Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Hi, Todd. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. So, you've been playing laser tag since practically the beginning. So tell me about your laser tag background. Where did it all start for you, and what kind of kept you down this road?
It started I'm dating myself, very long time ago. I think the Dundalk Photon opened in 88, 89 maybe, and just fell in love with it because we had a flea market that was next door to it. And I stumbled upon Photon by accident and went to the observation deck and was just like, oh my gosh. And I was a very little guy compared to now back then. And so putting on all of that equipment and being a 10-year-old kid wearing a 20-pound battery pack was kind of it was definitely a workout, but it was so worth it getting to go into that dimly lit, fog-filled arena and running around. Well, at first the games were 6.5 minutes, and then when Photon reopened years later, they upped it to 12 minutes, I believe. And so it was a long time from then to, even closer back then, but just going there, it was like the hangout spot to be. You had the snack counter where we could trade war stories and stuff in between games. And if we wanted to take a break, the arcade. And it was one of the first, I guess, true amusement centers that I even had ever seen, even though it was just built as a laser tag arena. You could go there, hang out with friends, watch games, and play a couple arcade games and really just stay there the whole day. It was everything. I would get dropped off there and do the play all days on Sundays, $10, get to play for 5.5, 6 hours. It would be really, where can you do that nowadays, So even if I didn't have anybody to go to, you could go down there and usually make a friend at the arena. And it was just mind-blowing for a 10-year-old at the time. So that was 30 plus years ago now. So it's been a long time since, from Photon to Laser Quest to Ultrazone. Ultrazone kind of filled in the gap when Photon closed. Unfortunately, back in 93 is when our Dundalk Photon closed. And then Ultrazone had serendipitously opened up, and that was the new hangout. And they must have completely stolen a page from Photon's playbook because they had it all, except for the observation deck. That was the only bummer, is you couldn't watch matches while you were playing, but it still filled a huge void for laser tag. And they actually did have leagues back then. I was there recently and asked if they still had leagues, and I got looked at like I had two heads, like, well, what? Nobody does laser tag leagues anymore, at least not around here. But I had always wanted to do that. I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping around here, but Dundalk had hosted some of the world competitions a couple times. And so that was neat, getting to see the teams from Japan and Scotland come and play at my Photon arena. And the downside was it closed the whole arena for a day, so I didn't get to do play all day on Sundays. But getting to see the best in the world come play at our arena was awesome. Only thing I missed was getting to meet Mr. Carter, who invented Photon. But I think I'm kind of going all over the place here. It's been a long road, depending on what else you'd like me to touch upon. But
A lot of memories
yeah,
you can tell, and definitely it
tons.
sounds like a really significant social experience time for you.
It was getting to being a geek back then. You didn't have too much to glom onto as a kid. Home computers, back then it was really growing up through the home computer revolution. So uh, when you were working on computers at home, it was just programming and looking at a book. My first computer was a Commodore 64. So reading a book and typing code for 2 hours just to play a game was kind of boring. So uh, getting to, Mom, take me to Photon, please. And yeah, it was, and I think the 80s was the best time as far as for laser tag. It'll never be another time like it. It would be great to find some place and have an 80s day again, but the haircuts, the clothing, the music playing at the Photon Center, it really was kind of like the Photon TV show. It was just kids hanging out, having a great time.
Now, you speak from the vantage point of some perspective because you've been an employee at other brands of laser tag, right?
Yes, I was what did we call them out there? I think we were marshals at Laser Quest, or marshals or game masters. It was interesting because I got to introduce the people out there in Las Vegas to Photon. They traditionally played with 3 teams in Laser Quest. So getting to work behind the counter and using the game computer, I switched that around and created a Photon mode for all of the packs where it was 2 teams instead of 3, and programming 2 of the vests to be bases so that you could go and tag up and get your 200 points or whatever it was there. But so that was awesome, getting to introduce people to different game modes and kind of broadening their horizons. But also out there while I worked at that, I like to say I played professionally because I actually played in a league out there statewide and had the fortune to be number 2 in the state.
Nice.
I played a lot because of the free games, but it was very, very competitive out there and very hot being Las Vegas. So there were a number of laser quests out there, and it was, again, it was a good time to play laser tag.
Very cool. Now, your code name, you went by Nitro. Tell me about the background, why you picked that. What does it mean?
There were always 3 or 4 Bodie Lees at Photon Center. So the next best thing was I loved American Gladiators back then, and Nitro was my favorite gladiator. So I was like, okay, I'll go by Nitro. Once in a while, I would sneak in Bodie Lee if there was nobody else there playing by it. But yeah, American Gladiators fan. So Nitro was it for me.
Very cool. Now, being an old school Photon Warrior, you kind of touched on this, but why do you think that Photon resonates so strongly with you still all these years later?
Oh gosh, it's hard to pin down one reason, but it was just a place where like-minded people that were, geeks of the time, sci-fi fans, to go and play, because you could tell in what I learned later in the interview with Mr. Carter that he got the idea of Photon from Star Wars, and you could totally see that, except he made it original and made it something new, and there was nothing else like it. Back in the 80s, yeah, you had arcades, which are few and far between now, also true arcades, but it was just an original experience. Like, you were the star of this sci-fi epic for 6.5 minutes, and there was the lighting and the sound and the fog and just the fun competitive nature of it all. Being able to escape into that alternate reality for a couple hours a week, that's why it still holds a place in my heart today. And there's still plenty of people, now you have yours in the back there. I've got my Photon pod sitting in my office. So I have a piece of Photon history along with a couple other items, like phaser tokens from the base stations. And I always said, if there was one business that I could open up, I would try and revitalize Photon. And there was a gentleman named Jim that you probably know out in Oklahoma that tried to open his own Photon center for a while. I would like to give it a go. It wouldn't even be work for me. I would love to bring people in and just have a little fun, good natured, get them to escape from the world for a little bit, because nowadays we could really use that. So Photon embodied all of that sportsmanship and just having a good time.
Absolutely. Now, you played the sport, you worked at different laser tags. So I know you must have some stories, because everybody has their story. I'd love to know about what is the most unbelievable thing that you either saw or were a part of when you were playing any kind of laser tag?
Well, it's not super positive, but it's probably the craziest thing I ever saw. Was there was a time where there were a few people that always took the game a little too seriously, no matter what arena you went to. But this got very bad one day. A guy was dogfighting with another player and was just being taken to school, and he got very mad and took a fire extinguisher off the wall and chucked it at another player, and it made a hole in the wall. Needless to say, the game ended very abruptly, but that was probably the craziest thing I ever saw. But the coolest thing, that on a more positive note again, was watching the World Championships at the Dundalk Arena. I would love to get worldwide people to come together and do a little one-time World Championship again. But that always sticks in my mind.
Well, maybe shifting from crazy experiences, what about crazy or memorable arenas that you've played? What's the most memorable that you've experienced?
Besides Photon, the Laser Quest out in Vegas was very unique, because it was the first arena that I had been to that had 3 separate towers. So it wasn't all 2 complete levels. There was a 2-level tower over here, and then there was a 2-level tower over there, 2-level tower back in the corner with a maze in the middle and mazes underneath each of the towers, and very good use of black light paint, and soundtrack was pretty good too. Wasn't all an original soundtrack like Photon was, but very good use of the space. So if it's still open, Laser Quest Las Vegas.
So what would you say really makes a laser tag experience worthwhile to you?
Great question. Again, it's all about the ambiance. It's making it, for me, feel like that you're in another dimension, that you're in this futuristic techno environment that George Carter captured. Again, there's never going to be another laser tag arena designer like him. Some arenas have come close, but what made Photon the gold standard, I guess, as far as laser tag arenas, would be that original soundtrack, making it sound like it was an alien environment, with the engines pulsating and with the fog rolling in around the towers, and the dimly lit hallways, so that you weren't quite sure what was going to pop around the next corner. And even though the helmets were a hindrance as far as peripheral vision, made you feel like you were putting on this futuristic piece of equipment and going around to zap everybody. So I would say environment is definitely number one, because I've been to a couple laser tag arenas where it was dimly lit, but the walls were just like partitions hanging from the ceiling. And was a very, very small room and no ambiance to it. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, we're just sitting in a room for 5 minutes, zapping people on the other side of the room. You got to give people the feeling that they're escaping out of reality. And all of those elements put together, lighting and the soundtrack, and you've got yourself a bang up #1 laser tag experience, in my opinion.
Were you in attendance at BOCON?
I wanted to so bad. Oh my gosh, I did not get to make it because of what was going on with my children at the time. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. But I saw the pictures, and I saw when David Stay was there, and I heard that was a riot. Peeking on him from time to time. He is a cut up. I've been able to speak with him one-on-one a few times too. He's a nice guy. He sent my kids and I some autographed Mandar pictures, and I bought his Sphere of the Lycanthrope movie that he acted in a few years ago. So I attended in spirit, but unfortunately I didn't make it.
Just curious about that, because so many people who had similar experiences coming together in one place, sharing a lot of the same ideas. Now, throwing this back to David Stay. Yes, definitely a great guy who is very supportive of all things related to Photon. So you were a kid when this started. Were you a follower of the TV show?
Yes, I found it by accident on one of our local channels. I think it was on early at like 6:30 in the morning, and it's like, what is this? And I realized it was Photon, and I made it before VHS, so I didn't get to record any of the episodes, but I was always looking for it no matter where I was on a Saturday or Sunday morning. But now I've been able to go back and watch a lot of the episodes, and I think my favorite episode would had to have been where Mandar almost went back to the light. That was probably the best story, with him and Bodhi Lee being trapped and kind of looking like he was going to come back, but he was like, I can't do it, I'm too far gone. And I wish they could have done a little bit more with the ending of that show, but I loved it. It was awesome.
I think if you found it as a child, it definitely resonates differently from those who found it later on. But, you know, the 80s were a very specific time, and you look at things with very specific eyes.
Absolutely.
But whatever people think of the TV show, it certainly was a way of spawning some Photon merchandise and tag swag, as I like to put it, are what people sometimes call collectibles. Do you have any laser tag collections?
Oh gosh, yes. I had the home equipment growing up, and the little Bodhi Lee, and I didn't, it's in storage right now, but I had the Bodhi Lee and the Mandar figures, the Warrior with the 4 arms, and I would always take those to school, and we would play Photon at school. And I have my Photon pod, and gosh, phaser tokens from the observation deck. And then I do have my poster from one of the Photon centers that I got on eBay. It's a poster of a young lady in with I think it's a silver wig and kind of a black bikini unitard top and holding a phaser, and she's in the arena, and it's got the Photon logo on the bottom of the poster. Found that on eBay from a Photon collector. I don't know why they were getting rid of it, but I yoinked that up, and I've just got to find a frame for it. But one day I will have, nowhere near the size of your collection back there, but I will have a little Photon area in my computer room to go with like all of my pops that are behind me here. So yeah, I've got a few things.
As you were talking about that poster, I realized I know which one you mean. Yeah. And weirdly, I bought it and I have no idea where it went. It's not in this room, or if it's in this, it might be over there, but it's not hanging.
Okay. Yeah, I got to find a frame that's the right size for it. I don't want to, it's got a little fraying around the edges, so I don't want it to degrade anymore. So I'm like very ginger about unrolling it whenever I bust it out to show somebody. But
Well,
the phaser tokens I found by accident too. I was looking through and found a lunchbox and heard rattling, and I opened it up and I was like, oh my God, there are actually a couple of old 80s phaser tokens and then a couple of new phaser tokens from when Laurel Photon was open. So
I've never really been clear on which ones I have. I've got two of them here. I've got one that's bigger and sort of silvery and definitely looks newer with the figure with like the spiral. Is that Laurel?
That
compared
is
to
Laurel.
like, interesting. I didn't know what the difference was. I mean, their size. I've got like the gold tone versus the silver, and the smaller
Yeah,
ones.
the gold is
smaller one was the old
definitely-
school, and this.
Yeah.
I did not know. I guess
But
that
Laurel
makes sense.
actually had a gold one also, but it had a newer slogan on it. It said like "Sport of the Next Century."
I have.
Whereas the original Dundalk, I think, had the ultimate game on planet Earth slogan on it.
Oh, you know what? This one, if I look carefully, this one says Kenilworth. So that one's Kenilworth. I
Okay.
have a gold one and a silver one that they both say ultimate game on planet Earth.
Yeah, I believe those are
Any other
both
variants?
Laurel.
This one is so tarnished that I can't really make out any difference. I can't tell if this is gold or silver, but it's a Laurel one. So interesting. Is there any one Grail artifact of laser tag that you would love to get your hands on?
If I had to think of one thing, I would love to get a base light from one of the photon towers and rig it up so that it pulsed like it did inside of the arena. I think that would be my white whale right now.
Well, souvenirs aside, what would you say is the one thing that you've really gotten out of laser tag? Or maybe souvenirs not aside. What is the best thing that you've gotten from laser tag?
Oh gosh, just the experiences. I've told stories about it to my kids of how laser tag arenas used to be back in the day, and having taken them to a few arenas and getting to share that experience with them. Actually, back on my 40th birthday, we have an arena. Actually, I remembered another one nearby, Red Zone out in Timonium. I was thrown a surprise birthday party there for my 40th birthday, and it was all 80s themed. So it was a Pac-Man themed cake and some photon pictures and stuff. And then everybody from all walks of life were there. My friends that were kind enough to show up and celebrate my 40th with me, and they all had a blast playing laser tag there. They had never done it before, and there were a couple 50, 60-year-old people playing with us, and their faces lit up like they were kids again. Like, oh my gosh, that was so, I shot you over there, and I remember you got me, tagged me over there. And just having those experiences and getting to hand down that to a new generation and watching them enjoy it, that's the best thing I could ever get out of laser tag.
And you mentioned your kids. Do your kids play laser tag?
When possible, yes. I take them to, there's a place, Adventure Park out in Frederick, that I've taken them to, and Monster Mini Golf has an arena. I want to take them to Ultra Zone so that they can see a different one. And then Shadowlands, as you know, out in Columbia, that equipment is huge. The last time I saw it, I believe the phasers are huge, but
The dark light.
Yeah, dark light. But yeah, it's fun. It gets their wiggles out and gets a little bit of exercise. I think it's great cardio running around in there. And It's just nice bonding. And again, being able now to share war stories with my kids after, oh yeah, I got that guy and I ran around with that, blah, 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 blah. That's worth the price of admission for me.
That's awesome. Seeing it pass to a new generation.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate all the stories that you've shared. And what do you
Thank
say
you.
we do a little rapid fire tag talk?
Let's go.
All right. I'm going to throw a bunch of questions at you really quickly and you just answer back. I want to hear your gut reaction and tell me rapid fire. What's your favorite laser tag system of all time?
Photon.
I knew you were going to say that. Favorite arena?
Oh gosh. Actually Laser Quest Midlothian.
Coolest person that you've ever met through laser tag?
David Stay. And you, being able to share laser tag war story. You have a collection that I've always wanted. So I would say it's a tie between you and David.
Thank you. Coolest place that you've ever visited because of laser tag?
Ooh, oh gosh. Midlow Laser Quest again.
Favorite prize or souvenir?
Ooh, I would say it's a tie between doing your tag for a cause, and when I got that medal, I actually have that hanging up with my laser tag stuff. Well, I've got to bring it all over here. I haven't transferred all of my laser tag stuff over. So my tag for a cause medal, and then my autographed David Stay picture.
Very cool. Favorite Photon player?
I actually keep in contact with him. He's the gentleman that I got my Photon pod with, Mark Muller. And Jim Strother, even though I didn't get a chance to play with him. He's a heck of a guy.
Favorite Photon character?
I loved Warrior growing up, actually. Even more than Bodhi Lee, I thought Warrior, I was like, oh, he can hold 4 guns. He's a weird bug-looking alien. So I would think Mandar, but no, growing up, honestly, I loved Warrior.
And favorite laser tag blog?
You, because I follow you religiously. No, seriously, you are living the life that if I could go around and do it honestly, I would go around and play laser tag in every state. So you have you pay attention to detail, you have fun while you're doing it like I do, and it's been a pleasure and an honor following your adventures in laser tag. So I would recommend anybody, and I have before, to go check out your website.
Well, thank you. And I didn't even pay you to say that.
No. Honestly, you're the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, I thank you very much. And really want to thank you for taking some time to talk some tag. That's Todd Mulloy, AKA Nitro from back in the day, joining me for some laser unfocused tag talk with Tivia. So Todd, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. My pleasure.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Listen for more episodes on the first and third Friday of each month. Want to be a guest on an upcoming episode? Find out more and follow my blog and website at TiviaChickLovesLaserTag.com.